If you've been following the channel, then you'll know that I do a lot of kettlebell sessions here in the garage. But what I haven't done is sat down and done a video on why I started the channel, partly because I'm not a natural in front of the camera, which means I have to have a script. It comes off a little less natural. As you'll know, I'm 42 years old. I served in the British Army for a long time. And like most blokes in my position, service didn't treat my body kindly. I'm dealing with injuries from in my lower back with disc bulges and deteriorating discs. And my knee recently has also started to give up. I ended up with a meniscus tear, which stopped me from running. For a long time, running and weightlifting was all I did do. But I have to admit that did leave me feeling stiff and tight, especially as I was getting older. But then I came across kettlebells. I can't remember how. I think I bought one for extra gym equipment. Not only did it help with my mobility, but the high tempo cardio style strength training was exactly what my power mentality had been looking for. It was scalable. I could do it go harder or softer. But when my knees and my back stopped hurting, that's when I wanted to know how kettlebells really can change your body regarding injury. So this is what I found out during my research. When you have disc bulges like I do, traditional weightlifting can be concerning because it applies a lot of vertical crushing force straight down on your spine. Now, my back injury was sustained in the army, and I did go through the rehab only to leave the army with the same injury and then walk into normal life. Eventually, during the end of my service and the start of my normal life, I decided to go and get an MRI scan. And here, this is a slice right through my lower back. The big dark oval in the middle is my spinal disc. On the right, where I've drawn the arrow, you can see the edge is bulging backwards, narrowing the space where my nerves travel. That little bump right there dictated my life for 10 years. From what I've read, a ballistic kettlebell swing completely changes the mechanics by shifting that load horizontally. When a kettlebell swings through your legs, it forces your glutes, your hamstrings, and your deep core muscles to instantly snap awake and lock down. In biomechanics, this is called dynamic abdominal bracing. Instead of isolating one muscle, the kettlebell forces the entire midsection to create a rigid muscular shield around the spine by strengthening the living tissue around the injury. You take the pressure off the disc. In biomechanics, this is called dynamic abdominal bracing. Instead of isolating one muscle, the kettlebell forces your entire midsection to create a rigid muscular shield around the spine. By strengthening living tissue around the injury, you take the pressure off the disc. You aren't just moving weight, you're building a natural lifting belt out of your own muscle. Now, I'm no physio, so I don't know if that's 100% correct, but that's what I've researched. Whatever the mechanics are, I am more pain-free than I ever have been. Now, that science bit will be probably the reason why I managed to transition from traditional weightlifting to kettlebells so successfully. Before I found this tool, my back had been in absolute agony for circa 10 years. That's a solid decade of chronic pain, and I'd tried everything. The army had put me through the rehab. I'd gone through the rehab and come out the other end, and my back was still hurting. I did everything. I went through the scans, I went to the specialist, the whole 9 yards. Nothing touched the pain. Now, I'm the first to admit that some of that pain will have been tied up to stress in my head. And in actual fact, I read a really good book by Dr. E. Sarno called Healing Back Pain, which massively helped me understand the mental side of chronic injury. Key to my recovery and the physical turning point was the fact that kettlebells dynamically changed my training style. For the better, Dr. Sarno's book and kettlebells gave me a solution when the medical system couldn't do that. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this on this channel. If you are feeling trapped and in a cycle of pain and depression, there is a way out, and it is through training. Or at least it was for me. It wasn't just my back either, unfortunately. My knees were clearly taking a hammering while I was in the army, and I had a tired meniscus that I wasn't aware of. Standard cardio like pounding the pavement just wasn't helping and was making it worse. But kettlebells fix the joint pain through low impact, high tension movement. When your feet are firmly planted on the deck, what science calls a closed kinetic chain, it drastically reduces the grind and shearing force of the kneecap. I never actually had a problem with my knee during service. There must have been an issue there, and I imagine all of the running around with that weight on my back probably didn't help my knee at all. Actually, what broke my knee was I decided at 41 that I was going to do a half marathon, which I'd never done before. And the week before the half marathon, I went out for a 10-mile training run. My knee felt bad, slight pain. I thought I was being weak, just cracked on, and then eventually it went and I couldn't walk. During my healing process, I couldn't do anything that was high impact. I couldn't go running. I was using ellipticals and things like that. But during that process of being constrained by my training, I turned back to kettlebells and tried some of the snatches, swings, which didn't seem to aggravate my knee at all. And that massive insight completely changed my outlook on training. I started lifting kettlebells more because I realized that I could really challenge myself with that, and they didn't affect my injuries in the way that the traditional running weights was affecting my injuries. And that's kind of led me on the path that I'm on now in terms of why I'm uploading things and why I'm doing more and more kettlebells. So what does the research say? How can I swing and snatch a heavy kettlebell when I can't even go for a jog? It comes down to ballistic, low impact power production. When you run, every single stride sends a massive shockwave up your leg, putting intense stress right through a tired meniscus. But kettlebells are completely impact free. Your feet stay glued to the deck. Because it's a closed kinetic chain, you can generate massive cardiovascular output and explosive lower body strength through your hips, completely bypassing the grinding deceleration forces that ruin your knees on the road. You get the lung burning cardio and the muscle building tension with zero of the joint damage. And that's why it appealed to me massively. And that was the turning point for me, knowing that I could get a really hard workout in without having to sit on an exercise bike for hours or work on an elliptical for hours. I could get some real hard graft in with one tool. For me, that was kettlebells. It's part of the reason that I lift in here. It's part of the reason I don't go to a commercial gym. And it's another reason why I started this channel, to tell you that fitness doesn't end just because you got injuries, whether you pick them up in service or out of service. If you're dealing with your own problems or your own injuries, message me. Let me know what worked for you. And I'll see you in the next one.